So over the weekend, Jesse Vargas and Mikey Garcia had an outstanding fight on DAZN. The card itself was pretty good. I mean, a lot of good fights. Joseph Parker fought, I forgot the guy's name, Wilkins. I could be completely wrong about that, but it ain't about the other guy anyway. It's about Joseph Parker. But going back to Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas, basically it was a tale of two fights. First 5 rounds, Vargas was, putting the hurting on Mikey, really making it hard for him. He came out strong, looked like, he was the bigger man, so he imposed his will on him a little bit. Game plan, which, you would expect, right? As a trainer, that's what I would advise, really pressure him, put your weight on him, put your size on him, use your length, But I think he got a little, it seemed like he started to tire out, and then Mikey, with the experience he has, listen, I doubted Mikey. I'm like, listen, the guy's too small. He's fighting at this, weight class I don't think he should be at. But he proved, my theory of always going with the boxer kind of went as planned, I feel like a good boxer can overcome size because they have more tools in the toolbox. If you come to a work site and you got a whole toolbox full of hammers, nails, this and that, and you know how to use all of them, you might be more valuable to the situation than a guy with just a hammer, right? He's kind of limited. He might be the best hammering dude ever, but he only got a hammer. So what happens when you need to saw something, or you need to screw something in, or you need to, do other things? And I think that's kind of what Mikey is. He's not the most athletic, and I think that's where the limitation is. He's unlike Pacquiao, because I was talking to somebody about this, is that Pacquiao is kind of the contrary to the rule, where size doesn't matter for him because, he has power and he has speed, and those two things for him has translated very well moving up in weight classes, because he has clear advantages, right? Like, he has a clear advantage when it comes to his fight, his fighting style. Mikey isn't so much. He has great hands. I would say Mikey has good hands. He has a good strategy. He's smart. He's got the IQ to overcome limitations of another fighter. If a guy doesn't have an advantage over him, he has the skills to beat somebody always. But he's not super fast. He's not super athletic. He's not super strong. So he's not really outstanding at everything, but he's an outstanding fighter, if that makes sense. So it's like you go into a fight, and he, with Errol Spence and Vargas, and he's just clearly the smaller guy, and he hangs in there with Errol Spence. He got his ass whooped. It was just, mismatch, and he beats Jesse Vargas easy. So, second half of the fight was his. And maybe that size in that situation worked to his favor, because Vargas has fought as high as 154. So, Mikey, may have had the cardio advantage, and the fact that he doesn't have to cut a whole lot, if any at all, to make 147, it makes it easy for him to go those rounds and not have to worry. You're fresh. I always felt that a fighter is always best at their natural weight. We always want to pump this idea of having advantages in the ring, by being the biggest guy at a certain weight class, and to me, I always felt like that's just a second fight. Why have a second fight? Yeah, other guys are going to do it. They're going to, cut the weight and be big as they possibly can. They try to, weight bully you and all of that. But what about just being that much more skilled? If more people committed to the skill and not trying to be weight bullies, you probably have less PEDs too. Obviously there's a whole nother level of why PEDs are used, but I'm just thinking on a small level, a lot of guys probably wouldn't need PEDs and all these other supplemental things. They would just be concentrating on, working on their skills, being a skilled boxer, regardless of the weight. And then, you have success. All right, so moving on. Talking about Joseph Parker. He fought a 39-year-old. I forgot the guy's name. Somebody correct me in the comments. He fought a 39-year-old. I'm 39, so I mean, I'm about to talk about myself like these guys, like he ain't young, but whatever. He fought a 39-year-old, and he looked good. I mean, Parker is to me is like that sleeper heavyweight. He was a champ, and you know, he kind of came out of nowhere for most people's eyes. Like he didn't have a ton of, you know, quality competition outside of Ruiz and Joshua, which he lost to Joshua anyway. But, you know, he showed some things in both fights. And even in the fights with guys that he was clearly better than, he showed things, even, you know, over this weekend with the DAZN fight. I like his ability. You know, I never go, like, competition matters. Don't get me wrong. It matters a lot, you know, especially when you get to the upper tiers of your division. But I also look at the skill set and what a person is able to do, right? Because the mental part of it when you get to the upper tier is now, can you take that same skill set and apply it against another elite opponent? I feel like Joseph Parker is young. He's on the verge. I think the other heavyweights that kind of are in the mix now are kind of I wouldn't say older, but they're they're older than he is. So I feel like his window of fighting is longer. And I feel like at some point he may be the guy once these other guys, you know, call it quits whenever they do, because he's the right size heavyweight, you know, 6'4", about 240-ish. You know, young. I think he's 29. You know, he can jab. He's athletic. He's strong. You know, he has a good skill set. I was impressed with him. You know. He did what he was supposed to do. He got rid of this guy. Got him out of there, right? So I think he's on the verge up, right? Coming back in the division. He has something to show. I would say though, he seemed a little heavy to me. He was about 245 in this fight. I think I like to see him at like 230. You know, a little leaner, because I think he has the speed. But I noticed how he slowed down a bit and kind of fought in the pocket a lot more than he probably needed to. The other guy was so much smaller. He was, you know, about 209 pounds. He was tough though. He came to bring it. You know, hit him with some shots, but you know, just the other guy was just too big. You know, Parker's too much. You know, it was too big for him that night, and more experience, I'd say. But he came to fight. But I think Parker, you know, yeah, come down a little bit, lean out a little bit. You know, be healthy, but don't come in close. He was about 245, so that, you know, when you start creeping up to 250, to me, you know, I think that's a little bit too heavy. You know, I think he's gonna have the hand speed and quickness advantage over a lot of guys. So I think that he should stay there. You know, about 240 or less. You know, maximum 240. So, but yeah, overall it was a great card, man. DAZN. You know, you got your money's worth this fight. It was a good one. So let me know what you guys think. Peace.